Let's put it all together. It says this: the projectile is launched from a 45-meter high cliff at an angle of 64 degrees with the horizontal and an initial velocity of 36 meters per second. If they don't give me a picture, then I'm going to dulp. So here's my picture. Cliff. 45 meters. 64 degrees is pretty steep. And it's 36 meters per second at an angle of 64 degrees. This is probably what I'll ask you on your test. I won't walk you through all the steps like I did last day. I'll just say find the range. I'm not asking you to find the range. Yes, you are. Yeah, okay. I'm asking you to find the range, but what am I going to spend most of my time finding? Okay. So what's my strategy? Here's how my brain tackles this. First of all, is this a projectile? That's a job for a T-table. Horizontal, vertical. Oh, and I can write down my physics no-brainers. Again, they're not no-brainers. You need to know some physics to get them. But, what two things can I always write down for projectiles as long as we're on the Earth? AX is going to be 0, and AY is going to be negative 9.8. Everything else, it just depends. Everything else is determined by the question. Here, we're launching from a cliff at an angle. Kyle, did I say angle? Components, you say. Good call. So I'm going to break this velocity up into Vx, Vy initial. Y initial, because that's the one that's changing. Vx isn't changing because there's no acceleration, so I don't need to put an initial or a final there. It just is. Kyle, what do you want to find first? Vertical or horizontal? Doesn't matter. Pick. Horizontal. So the 36 is the hypotenuse. Horizontal adjacent. Which trig function? Cos it is. So I can say Vx equals, have you spotted the pattern? It ends up being the hypotenuse times the cos of 64. And I'll carry a bunch of extra sig figs here because I'm going to be using this. It's going to be 36 cos 64. 15.7814. Which one do we need to find next, Kyle, my friend? Vy, which trig function do you think that one's going to be? It is. You've seen the sign. 36 sine 64. 36 sine 64. And I get 32.356, I'll round off to 6, 32.3566. Right now, Matt, I have two things in each column. Not enough. There's got to be a third thing. Matt, what else has the picture told me? What haven't I used yet? Is that a vertical or a horizontal? Vertical. It's going to go in the vertical column. I'll call it dy. What am I going to write? Here's your hint. Not 45. Negative 45. Which column, Matt, do I have three things in? I'm going to find time vertically. So I'm going to go t equals question mark. Oh. It vanished. I know what, by the way, the reason that is also, this is also the strikeout command. So if I go sideways back and, well, usually it is. Maybe it disabled. Well, that's not good. Completely disabled. Let's do this. Let's bring it back. There, now it's gone. Hey, which equation can I use here? Yeah, it's going to be d equals VIT plus a half AT squared, and I'll just make sure I put vertical, vertical, and vertical in. And this is going to be, Kieran, where we run into a bit of a headache, because in this one, since no values are zeros, we're going to get a full-blown quadratic. We'll get negative 45 equals 32.3566. T minus 4.9 T squared. And as I did last day, Tristan, I did the negative 0.5, well, 0.5 times negative 9.8. I got the negative 4.9. I did that part in my head. Tristan, what kind of an equation is this? How do I know? It's got a squared. And unfortunately, it's also got a T, which means I can't use any of my clever Math 10 tricks of getting whatever by itself. I have to pull out the quadratic formula. Or the other option, you could have found Vy final and used that. But let's go full bore. Oh, before I even start solving this quadratic, what do I have to do first? Make it equal to 0. And I told you the other day, I hate it when the quadratic term is negative. So I always make that positive. So it's going to give me positive 4.9 T squared minus 32.3566 T minus 45 equals 0. How much room did I give you? Not that much. Okay. Quadratic formula. Alexei, I'm not sure if you have seen this before. T equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over. Have you seen that before? Yeah? Okay. There's two different ways to solve these. In some parts of Europe teach a different method than this. Again, for all of you, do you have to memorize the quadratic formula? No, it's on your formula sheet on the same page as all the triangles are. You have to be able to use it, or you can use your solver, or you can use the workaround that I taught you last day. If you were away last day and you're saying, what workaround? I'll show you during a flex block. I get T equals positive 32.3566 plus or minus the square root of negative 32.3566 squared minus 4 times 4.9 times negative 45 all over 9.8. I don't think so. I plussed it over on purpose to make it positive. Lots of room to make mistakes in this, Eric. And there is, yeah. Bracket. Oh, clear. Bracket. 32.3566 plus square root. Open the bracket. 32.3566 squared. For what it's worth, folks, a little trick of the trade. McKenna, what do I have in front of the 32? But is it squared? What happens when you square a negative? I almost never type this negative because you get weird stuff depending on how your calculator squares a negative. So I know it's going to vanish anyways. Squared minus 4 times 4.9 times negative 45. Close off the square root. Close off the top. Divided by 9.8. Those of you with solvers, do you get 7.78401? And in the interest of completeness, we can redo the equation with the negative. and you get negative 1.18 blah, blah, blah. We reject that one, like Caleb going for a dunk. Someone else got 7.7833? Oh, am I off? Do I have a typo? This is what you're supposed to tell me when I ask if we all got the same thing. 32.3. Oh, you know what? I missed a 5. Okay, let's change this back to a plus sign. 32.35. Six squared. Is that right? 7.783? 3? That's pretty good. We're not done. What did this question want me to find in the first place, Kyle? Oh, range. That's dx, and that's just going to be vxt. Do you see, I've done my rant about don't put a horizontal into a vertical and vertical into a horizontal. One of the things, Manir, that drives me crazy, kids have finished the quadratic. They've done all the hard work, and then they go plus 9.8 t squared. And I just, no, it's easier. No A, much nicer. And they make a silly mistake at the end because I think they've let their guard down. So it's going to be 15.7814 times 7.7833. The range is this number times 15.7814. And I get 122.8. Now I'll go to 3 sig figs. I'll call it 123 meters. Before we go to part B, what if I had given you the range and you found Vx by components? Can you see it's easy to find time? Just divide the Vx, divide the range by the Vx. That's why that one is much easier. No quadratic formula. Once you have time, move it to the vertical column, you can find the height of the cliff. But that's a walk in the park compared to what we just did. Part B. At what time does the projectile reach its maximum height? And how high is that maximum height? Okay. We've all just turned the page, yes? It's talking about maximum height, vertical or horizontal. So I'm not going to do a complete key table here. I'm just going to list my vertical stuff. So vertical, I seem to recall vertical AY was what? Vertical acceleration was? Negative 9.8. VY initial was 30 something something something. 32.3566. 30, what was it again? Sorry? 32.3566. They want me to find time. Why can't I just take my answer from part A, my time value, and divide it by 2? Nate, what? Yeah, this is not a symmetrical path. We're starting on a cliff and ending on the ground. We're not starting and ending on the same height. If we were starting and ending on the same height, absolutely, that's what I would do. But we're not. So there must be something else I know. What else do I know? Oh, what's VY final for a split second at the top? Oh, this isn't so bad. So Nate, I'm looking for an equation that's got an A, a V initial, a T, and a V final in it. Is there one? So you're telling me that? And just make sure I use all vertical values? So the time to get to the top is going to be 0 take away 32.3566, all divided by negative 9.8. I get 0 minus 32.3566, close off the top, divided by negative 9.8. And I get 3.30 seconds. What was the total time of flight? 7 point something something, yeah, wasn't it? So, Spence, now that I know how long it takes to get to the top, could I also figure out how long it takes to fall the rest of the way back down to the bottom? Yeah, subtract that first value from this one. Okay, we can handle that. I don't think I'd ever asked that, but we can handle it. What's the second thing, Lena, this question want me to find? What's part 2 that this question want me to find, Lena, my joy? Read me the last sentence. I can't hear. I think you're right. Is she saying the word height or how high or something like that?
Yeah, that's what she's
saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Height, Lena, vertical or horizontal when they say the word height? Okay, so I'm not going to relist all my data. I'm just going to say dy equals question mark. Lena, I'm looking for an equation. It has to have a d in it. And it'd be nice if it has an a, a v. Well, I could use these three if I didn't want to use the time, but I could also use the time. Get me an equation, Lena, that has a d in it. Any equation that has a d in it will work. Hey, she's going for a formula sheet. Excellent. D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. Totally works. That uses my time value from part A. You could also have used VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AD. Totally works. That doesn't use your time value from part B. I said part A. Your time value that we just figured out here. Whichever, I don't care. We're at the stage now where you can use an answer to find an answer. I'm going to use D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. So I'm going to get the vertical height is 32.3566 times 3.3 plus 0.5 negative 9.8 3.3 squared. Now, rather than 3.3, I have this stored on my calculator still, so I'm going to use 3.301693.8, that thing. But you know what? It's pretty close to 3.3 with the 0 there and the 1 there. We're pretty good. So 32.3566 times answer button plus 0.5 times negative 9.8 times answer button squared. And when I hit this, I get 98.4. Yes? That's what the answer says. Do you get 98.4? Why don't you get 98.4, and what do you get instead? Oh, got to pause the video here for a second. What were you saying, Caleb? We have to add the cliff. All this is figured out is how high above where we started we are. But we didn't start on the ground. So H is going to be 45, which was the cliff height, plus 53.4. And that's where the 98.4 meters comes from. Okay. This next one is pretty tough. Again, what are they asking us to find here, Sarah, in part C? Are we traveling in a nice straight line, or are we a projectile? That means the velocity is going to be a slanty. Is it on its way up or on its way down? You know what? I think I can figure that out by looking at my time values that I've already calculated from other questions. Is it on its way up or is it on its way down? How long did it take for us to get halfway? Pardon me? 3.3. How many seconds are we talking about here? So I'm thinking to myself that it's still on its way up. Okay? You okay with that? So I'm going to dulp, but it's on its way. I think it looks like that. Might be steeper, might be shallower, and I always draw a nice big line because I'm going to be doing some trig here. What if it was after 3.3 seconds? Well, then I would have drawn it pointing downwards. As it is, I've drawn it pointing up at an angle. Did I say angle? And I called this Vy final because this is the end of our trip. Ooh, one of these I know already. I know Vx. How big is Vx? Because it never changes. And we've got it in our t-table somewhere. 15 point what? 15.7814? Vy final. Vy after 2.4 seconds. How can I figure that out? I can calculate it. I know that Vy initial was 32.3566. Is that right, I believe? I know that my vertical acceleration is negative 9.8. And I don't have to spend all my time finding time. If they give me time, the question falls apart. They gave me time. How much time were we talking about here? And I can find Vy final. It's going to be V initial plus AT. It's going to be 32.3566 plus negative 9.8 times times 2.4 seconds. I got 8.8366. Yeah? Positive or negative? Positive. What if I had done this and I'd gotten a negative answer? That would tell me that my drawing was wrong. Instead of being on the way up, we were on the way down. And Matt, I'd just fix the drawing. I'd point it down slant. In fact, if I was doing this cold turkey with no information, before I even drew the picture, I'd find Vy final and decide ahead of time, am I going up or going down? Now here, we knew we were on the way up because in the previous question, we found time to top. Okay. I get 8.8366. Is that what it was, I think? So this equals 8.8366. How can I find the magnitude of the velocity? Hey, good old Math 8, Pythagoras. It's going to be this number squared plus 15.7814 squared square root. And I get 18.1 meters per second. Direction. Theta always goes where the vector is originating from, which in this case is going to be bottom left. Opposite, adjacent. Oh, we're back to tan. Tan theta is opposite over adjacent. And I get shift tan 8.8366 divided by 15.7814. Close off the bracket. I'm missing a digit. 7814. Missing a digit again. 114 close off the bracket. You get 29.2 degrees. North of east, I wouldn't take marks off if you said that. But again, that's not north. Up is not north. Down is not south. We're looking at this from the side. And so we would call this not below the horizontal, but Lena? What if we launched from a cliff, like in example 4, but we're launched horizontally? Example 4, what if we launched horizontally? There's one thing that makes this question much, much nicer. This is why horizontally from a cliff is so much easier than cliff at an angle. What's 0? A is not 0. Horizontally A is 0, but vertically A is negative 9.8. We called those our physics no-brainers. So ready? Let's dolp. What if we launched from a cliff horizontally? There's something we can say in the vertical column because of this, which makes the question much nicer. Yeah. And I point that out because, again, the common mistake for Vy, since there is no Vy in the picture, kids think, I'll put the horizontal in for the vertical as well. No, it's 0. I made it easier for you. In example 5, what have they given us in the question? Time. That means you'll have two things. One that you can put on each column. Time in vertical, time in horizontal. Part A says find the height. It's fairly plug and chug. Part B says find the range. It's fairly plug and chug. We're going to pass that question. And I think we'll do example 6A. Sure. Heck, let's do 6B. Does that work, Mr. Dewick? Yeah, I gave you about a page. We'll finish with this. I need to shorten this lesson for next year. The original question says a projectile is launched from the ground with an initial velocity of 88 meters per second at an angle of 70 degrees with the horizontal. For part B, I'm going to dolp. So it looks like this. We're launched from the ground. And the angle was 70 degrees and the velocity was 88. No yawning. Now, this question is a bit different. What's it asking me to find? What after 12 seconds? It's asking me to find a slanty velocity. I'm going to dolp in a second beyond this. But first of all, is this a projectile? Probably going to solve this with a t-table. Do you see angles, components? Do that first. There's Vx. There's Vy initial. Meneer, which trig function is going to be Vx? Cos it is. 88 cos 70. I'm going to get a Vx of 88 cos 70. 30.0978. What about Vy initial? Well, that's going to be which trig function? Sine? You've seen the sine. And I get 82.6930. This is a projectile, Spencer. T-table. Where AX, horizontal, vertical, AX is 0, AY negative 9.8, Vx 30.0978, Vy initial is 82.693, but I'm not going to bother writing the 0. Kev, what's this question want me to find? You know what? It's either, don't write this next bit down, Kevin, it's either going to look like this on the way up, or it might look like that on the way down. I'm not sure. We're going to have to solve vertically to get an idea. So I'm going to make a little note here. They did tell me time. How much time? Bear with me, someone at the door. Continue. Are we live again? Yes, we are. Kevin, you said what? 12 seconds? Yeah. So I can find Vy final from that vertically. And Mitra, if I get a negative answer, I'll know it's on the way down. If I get a positive answer, it's on the way up. Is that all right? Kevin, which equation can I use to find Vy final if I know A and V initial and T?
Vi plus AT.
I don't know if we're going to get a negative or my gut is we've traveled long enough that we're heading back down, but I'm honestly not sure. I have Vy initial on my computer still, so I'm going to go answer button plus negative 9.8 times 12. Yep, negative 34.907. And now I can gulp. Now I can say, you know what? I think my velocity looks like that. It's on the way down. Because of that negative. It's on the way down at an angle. Mitra, did I say angle? So? Components. And whenever possible, draw horizontal first. Look up. You could do this. The problem is, if you do it this way, you'll get that angle, which is a nothing of nothing. It's not below the horizontal. I guess it's off of the vertical. I don't know. Draw horizontal first, if you can. Like this. Vx, which I know, 30.0978. And then Vy final, which is 34.907. Mr. Dewick, isn't it negative? It is negative, Kieran. I got the arrow pointing down. That's the negative. Right there. And that's going to be theta. And now we're hopefully in familiar territory. Pythagoras. And, heck, I even think it's going to be tangent again. So it's going to be 30.0978 squared plus this answer squared, square root 46.1. At opposite adjacent be opposite over adjacent, so shift tangent of 34.907 divided by 30.0978, and I get, is that right? 49.2 degrees. And this one would be we are done the unit. Is Thanksgiving a week from today? Yeah, so the holiday that where there's no sorry, let me rephrase that. Is there no school a week from today?
Correct, Monday.
So does that mean that they cleverly at least made the following the following Friday a day 1-5?
Yeah, this Friday should be it.
Come on. Oh, next Friday is a late start day. It's not good. Doesn't give you enough time. And the Monday after that, apparently we're doing our earthquake drill. Gosh. But I think we do that in the morning. Right now, I'm thinking your test is not going to be a week from this Monday, but 2 weeks from this Monday. But I'll give you more information Wednesday or Friday. Okay? What's your homework? You can try number 1. I'm giving you lots of practice for you to decide, Kyle, do you want to use the quadratic formula? In which case, get good at it and quick and mistake-free. Or do you want to use the find Vy final, introduce a negative workaround, get good at it, be quick, mistake-free. So number 1, and then I'm going to say I'm not going to assign any of these other ones. They're kind of cool, but they're a bit long. So you can start working on the ultimate review.
So just number 1.
Just number 1.